Pick up your party guide at the Kroger Delicatessen.
WRTV 6 Indianapolis. This is Channel 6 News at 11 with Clyde Lee, Dion Willis, weather with meteorologist Bob McLean, and sports with Ed Sorensen. Now, live, WRTV Channel 6 News at 11.
Good evening to you. A whirlwind summit breaks tradition as Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev asserts his vision of a new world.
And for the first time, sits down with a current and a future U.S. president to work for stability. It was a day of firsts, though. For the first time in 30 years, a Soviet leader addressed the United Nations. With uncharacteristic candor, he volunteered to cut Soviet military strength by 50,000 troops and by 5,000 tanks in Eastern Europe. He urged the U.S. and its allies to follow suit, adding he's eager to do business with the new president.
The next U.S. administration, headed by President-elect George Bush, will find in us a partner who is ready, without long pauses or backtracking, to continue the dialogue in a spirit of realism, openness, and goodwill.
More evidence of goodwill as Gorbachev and the president met for the last official time, and both Mr. Reagan and Mr. Bush voiced approval.
Actually, I heartily approve. I support what the president says.
It was an upbeat visit, with Raisa Gorbachev even squeezing in a visit to Estee Lauder's cosmetic house. Summitry completed, the Gorbachevs bit into the Big Apple for a quick tour. Their 45-car motorcade finally blocking traffic as they stopped briefly to greet New Yorkers. European reaction tonight to Gorbachev's plan was positive. Tomorrow, the Gorbachevs will visit Cuba. While the Big Apple welcomed the Soviet leader with open arms, a local music store is giving its foreign competition a lot of heat.
And it seems the store owners are disturbed by how much of the musical instrument business is being taken by the Japanese. And as David Klug reports, some drastic measures were taken today to make that point.
That is a drum set, valued at about $2,000. Well, maybe a little less now. It's also made in Japan, one of the world's largest manufacturers of drums. And that's why the owners of the Drum Center are torching it. It is their way of saying, buy American.
I suppose it's just our way of saying we've had enough with foreign imported drums for what they have done to the American drum industry, which was real strong back in the 60s.
The Drum Center does sell English and German-made drums, but they do not sell Japanese. The Japanese have certainly done their share of damage to the American drum manufacturer, but there are other instrument manufacturers here in this country and instrument dealers locally who don't feel quite as threatened. Across town at Wilking Music, there is also a very strong American presence, as well as Japanese, Taiwanese, and Korean. From the Indiana-made Kimball piano to the Japanese-made Yamaha, what the customer wants is what Wilking Music sells.
Look, there's no question about it. They make a very, very fine product. And we as Americans want good quality instruments or products in our possessions.
But dealers here don't see the foreign competition so much a dreaded enemy as a different kind of instrument for a specific kind of musician.
It's not a black and white situation. A lot of people can't afford to go out and spend, you know, even $800 or $900 on their first drum set. So they have no choice if they want to play an instrument to buy an import.
And Americans are expected to do just that until their musical styles tell them it's time for a made in the USA. David Klug, Channel 6 News.
The United States government is buying American, at least when it comes to a new phone system. In fact, the new system contract, which went to AT&T and U.S. Sprint, could amount to $25 billion over the next 10 years, the largest government procurement contract ever for a non-military item. Dion?
Governor Orr is denying a replacement for Senator Dan Quayle will be announced this Friday. According to Orr, security checks have not yet been made on the leading candidates. Meanwhile, one of those leading candidates was in Washington today. Indianapolis Mayor William Hudduck met with Quayle and talked with the vice president-elect about the job.
Well, I'm not going to say whether I want it or not until I'm offered it, and then I'll think about it. Right now, all I can say is that I'm happy being mayor of Indianapolis, but my name is on these lists, and people are speculating about who's going to get it and all that, and I'm flattered with the attention, but meanwhile, I'm trying to be mayor of Indianapolis.
Senator Quayle says he will let Governor Orr make the final decision as to who Indiana's next senator will be. Right.
Another meeting, this one in Sweden, has produced a joint statement, this one between Yasser Arafat and a group of American Jews. Arafat endorsed the statement accepting Israel's right to exist, but Arafat would not confirm or repeat any of the statement's key clauses. He did say both sides support a Palestinian nation. South African black leader Nelson Mandela is out of the hospital tonight and is staying at a private home on a prison farm outside of Cape Town. The government said last month the 70-year-old black activist would not be sent back to prison after he recovered from tuberculosis. He's been there since 1962. However, he will be kept in custody for his own protection, says the government.
A look back now. He had 27 straight hit records, including his biggest, Pretty Woman. But it all came to an end when Ray Orbison died of a heart attack last night at the age of 52. Orbison's songs told of loneliness and sadness, something that had plagued him much of his life. In 1966, his wife was killed in a motorcycle accident, and shortly afterward, 2 of his 3 young sons were killed when his home burned down. But of late, things have been better. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he left with a hit record climbing up the charts, a record made with the likes of George Harrison and Bob Dylan.
It is a day that will live in infamy. You probably heard the words before, the words used to describe December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. That attack started at 7:55 in the morning. It lasted just under 2 hours. When it was over, more than 2,000 Americans were dead. Battleships, vessels, aircraft destroyed. Today, some local survivors of Pearl Harbor met to remember. They honored those who fought, those who died. Russell McCurdy was on the USS Arizona.
That was an awful sight to see that. The fire and the explosions and the death. Very good.
McCurdy says those who were at Pearl Harbor will never forget, and he hopes future generations will also know about the devastating surprise attack.
It was a month ago that a local businessman was found shot to death, but tonight a suspect is in jail. We'll have that story next.
And the battle of the stretch limos is shaping up over the route to the airport. That's ahead too.
Ford Tempo for $19.89. A lot of car for a lot less than you'd imagine. Great looking, sophisticated, and loaded with value. How much value? Try $400 cash back, plus another $1,000 on Tempo extras like tilt steering, power locks, AM/FM stereo, and cassette player. But hurry, this offer ends December 15th, and Tempo value is a luxury you can't afford to miss. See your Central Indiana Ford dealer today.
Ford dealers and you, your quality show.
Hey Santa, check out Lazarus Super Sale coming at you Thursday with extra bonus savings store-wide. Better be there Thursday at Lazarus.
Dixie, look what I got at People's Drug.
Woo! Looks like Santa's toy shop. I bet you saved money, too.
Oh, I did. Is this adorable, or what?
Good price, ain't it?
My little boy's gonna love this.
You got Santa in there, too?
Oh, yeah, he's in there.
Happy holidays from People's Drug.
The convenience you want.
The savings you deserve.
Last month, Gary Busey led the fight against motorcycle helmets. Today, he's recovering from an accident that could have killed him. Would a helmet have made a difference?
We could argue about this forever. It all boils down to, I want the choice.
Hollywood's always had a fascination with cycles, but some easy riders say helmets make sense.
Thank God I had it on or I wouldn't be here to tell you.
Motorcycle or death cycle? The inside stories on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Thursday night at 7 on WRTV Channel 6.
A 22-year-old is in jail tonight, charged with murder in the death of a city businessman. Last month, 55-year-old Paul Geib was found shot to death in the workshop area of his car stereo store on East 38th Street. Arrested is Frederick Hatton, a former employee. He had been fired from his job after he was accused of theft.
In Logansport, a man walked into City Hall and threatened to shoot himself. Police managed to wrestle 42-year-old William Coleman to the floor after they failed to talk him into putting his gun down. He's charged tonight with disorderly conduct and with criminal recklessness. In Denver, a 40-year-old woman opened fire in a shelter for battered women, killing one person and injuring several others. Juanita Whitaker was finally taken into custody after police determined she did not have any hostages. Whitaker had been staying at that shelter for several weeks after trouble with her boyfriend.
Police in Kokomo would like to get their hands on the gunman who robbed a Salvation Army volunteer of the day's kettle receipts. The robber forced the worker to drive his own van into the country where a getaway car was waiting. Police figure the robbers got up to $700 of the Army's Christmas money. Local limousine drivers are taking on the taxis in a new fight for the passenger. The limousine company Indy Connection now charges $10 for a ride between the airport and the downtown hotels. That's about the same as the taxis charge. Limousine drivers say they're filling a gap in the Indy transportation scene.
We're not direct like a cab. We may make another stop, but we're at the same price as kind of like a shuttle van type service. So, you know, we have the best of both worlds, we hope.
The city's biggest cab company promises to fight back not with taxis, but with limousines of their own. Yellow Cab says it will start charging lower limo rates next week, although the taxi rates will probably stay about the same.
Well, the calendar and soon the weather will tell us what time of year it is. Next, we'll tell you where to find some of the city's best Christmas lights.
And Bob McLean will have a forecast that definitely has a touch of winter.
Stay with us.
The one you wait for is finally here. Air's 14-hour Christmas sale. From 8 a.m. till midnight, this Friday and Saturday only. It's the biggest sale of the year throughout every Air store. It's the perfect time to complete your Christmas shopping and pick out a little something for yourself. Air's 14-hour Christmas sale, Friday and Saturday only. Don't wait another minute. The one you wait for is here.
Whether your holiday gift list includes just a few friends or the whole neighborhood, the place to fill it is at a True Value hardware store, where this self-programming lamp timer from First Alert is only $11.88. And power gifts with GE rechargeables. Give a 2-pack of C or D or one 9-volt battery for just $5.99. Then choose stylish ITT phones for just $29.99 each. At participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Man conquers Niagara Falls, and we were around. Man builds Hoover Dam, and we were around. Man needs plumber, and we're still around. Find help where you've always found it. Ameritech Pages Plus, the original Indiana Bell Yellow Pages.
Machinery, magazines, magic lessons. Baby, I'll have you on the ground in the flash.
Find the help you need fast with the easy-to-use headings in the Ameritech Pages Plus, the original Indiana Bell Yellow Pages.
Hey, this winter you can get a free furnace. Most families would want a free furnace. Just add a high-efficiency heat pump to your new replacement furnace and you get that furnace free. Below prime rate financing is available. Okay, what if this reduced your electric heating and cooling cost by 30%? Maybe that'll break the ice. Just call 637-PUMP for more details on this great offer, the hottest deal in town. But obviously not for everyone.
You know, this time of year, we always get lots of calls telling us about neighborhood Christmas lights that are something special. So we decided it's the Christmas season. Let's take a time right now to show you how elaborate some of your neighbors get during the holidays. Like this home, the home of Steve and Becky Metters on the city's south side. They make their own decorations. They've been creating a different look to their home for the past 5 years. If you have a house in your neighborhood that you think others would like to see, please give us a call. So by the end of the month, you will know all of the best places to see the lights. And if you can't get there yourself, well, we'll share them right here on Channel 6 News at 11 with you.
Okay. Probably a good idea to call tomorrow. The switchboard closes at about 9 o'clock at night, so call us tomorrow. We'll be glad to take those.
And I'll bet they got all those lights up last Saturday when it was so warm.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to fool around in the really cold stuff. But, you know, there have been some grumblings by people because we've been talking about temperatures getting colder and feeling more December-like. So I thought, well, maybe it's time to look at what really cold is to really justify true grumbling. These are the high temperatures recorded today up in Alaska. 30 below at, or 20 below, that's bad enough. 20 below at Barrow, Alaska. 23 below at Fairbanks. Anchorage relatively warm at 8 above. And Nome at 13. Now, since that time, Anchorage has warmed up a little bit more. The clouds have moved in. It's all the way up to 11. This morning at Fort Yukon and at Tanana and at Northway, Alaska, the mercury started the day at 40 below zero. So that cold air beginning to build up over those snow and ice fields over the northerly latitudes. So, hey, wait a minute. We're talking about cooler temperatures, but compared to those readings, that's not so bad. Even Bismarck, 29 degrees, but just the fact that we've enjoyed mild temperatures recently, and now the cold air is beginning to settle down into the north-central portion of the United States, and the prospect is there for temperatures falling somewhat. But it was a record high today at 72 at San Francisco, and nice and mild throughout much of New England. Holton, Maine, which just about 48 hours ago was down around 0, now warmed up today to about 42 degrees. Speaking of current conditions, outside right now we've got star-studded skies. It's 30 at the airport and 33 downtown, a light northwesterly wind, and the barometer is rising. Today's high was 46. The current temperature of the day is 30, which is also the low, and we've had a trace of some sprinkles during the course of the morning. Well, the big picture is showing that area of sprinkles has moved off to the east. Now we're watching more moisture down in the southwestern portion of the United States. They've had about 14 inches of snow at Boulder, Colorado, and 10 inches at Fort Collins, but only 2 inches at Denver. It looks like some of this moisture is going to streak in an east-northeasterly direction and probably brush the extreme southern portion of Indiana with a little rain mixed with snow by late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. But it looks like the main thrust of the precipitation will be staying to our south. But as this area shifts in that east-northeasterly direction, it could brush the southern portion of the Hoosier State. And then it looks like just the cold air will continue to settle in and push the moisture out, allowing the temperatures to be cold, but the weather pattern to be dry a little bit later on in the week. So by tomorrow afternoon, there's that area of precipitation tracking across the Ohio Valley, and a little snow and or rain may develop over the southern portion of Indiana. The farther north you go, the drier the chances, and just varying amounts of cloudiness. But as you can see, it will be on the cold side. The coldest readings will be up in the northern tier of states, highs only in the teens throughout much of north-central part of the country, up around Duluth and Hibbing and Bismarck. By contrast, 80s from around Fort Myers and Vero Beach south in Florida. Well, back to reality. Here's our forecast. Some cloudiness. It'll be colder tonight, mid to upper 20s. And then for tomorrow, varying amounts of cloudiness. Remember, that little bit of rain and or snow in the southern portion of Indiana is possible, with highs only around 35, give or take a couple of degrees tomorrow. Friday, colder still with some lingering cloudiness, and highs upper 20s to about 30. Extended outlook indicates real cold on Saturday. Might not be the best day to put out those decorative lights, with highs only from 20 to 25, then warming a tad on Sunday, and then cooling again for Monday.
Okay.
Downward slide. Well, the third period really was the big decisive one for the Pacers tonight, Ed.
I think it was a three-day break. That's a long break in the NBA season. The Pacers came back looking relaxed and refreshed tonight, and they beat the Portland Trail Blazers for their third win of the year. Back with loads of basketball highlights after this timeout.
Ford Tempo for $19.89. A lot of car for a lot less than you'd imagine. Great looking, sophisticated, and loaded with value. How much value? Try $400 cash back, plus another $1,000 on Tempo extras like tilt steering, power locks, AM/FM stereo, and cassette player. But hurry, this offer ends December 15th, and Tempo value is a luxury you can't afford to miss. See your Central Indiana Ford dealer today.
Ford dealers and you, your quality shows.
Can your nearby Preston Safeway give you just about the lowest grocery bill in town? Absolutely. Because Preston Safeway has absolute minimum prices, like 12 packs of all Pepsi-Cola products for just $3.29 every day. A 12-ounce bag of Nestle semi-sweet chocolate morsels is just $1.89 every day. Duncan Hines cake mixes are an extra buy this week at just 49 cents at Preston Safeway. An absolutely better supermarket, absolutely close to home.
Now for the holidays, save about half on men's expensive famous maker and designer clothing at Gentry Shops. Huge selection of executive and contemporary suits and tuxedos in pure wool worsted fabrics, $195. Sport coats in precious Shetland woolens, classic navy blazers, and soft lamb's wools, $125. Luxuriously soft woolen cashmere top coats, $195. For the best selections and extra service, shop Gentry, where you always save about half every day.
Wasn't that fun, Dixie?
Annie, I do believe we bought out People's Drug.
I just love their cosmetics and fragrances.
Nice.
Did you get the free leather key case with your purchase?
Annie, would I pass up a bargain like that?
And it's a Buxton.
They'd make dandy gifts.
You mean give them away?
Nah. Happy holidays from People's Drug.
Convenience you want.
The savings you deserve.
Pacers must be happy. Tonight ends, what, a 9-game losing streak with the Blazers.
And I still think, no matter what his detractors may say, George Irvin has stepped in and really done a fine job. I mean, they're 3-4 under his guidance right now.
Short time.
Yeah, that's quite a statement on my part. Good evening, folks. You know, the NBA regular season must seem like an eternity to the players. 6 months, 168 days, and then if you're lucky, the playoffs begin. During this regular season, the most time the Pacers ever have off at one stretch is 4 days in a row. That doesn't come until the middle of February. They have three-day breaks in the schedule. They came back from their first 3-day break tonight. They looked very refreshed. They beat the Portland Trail Blazers at Market Square Arena by 9 points. Let's go to the highlights. Scott Skiles will take the jumper and miss. Tiz is there for one of his 14 rebounds. He misses, but gets it back, puts it back up and in. Tiz, in addition to the 14 boards, had 24 points. Kersey, Jerome with the monster slam. He had 16 points, up-tempo first half. Pacers led under George, 69-66 at the break. Chuck Person, heck of a game, 27 points, 2 here on the rebound slam. Way to go, Chuck. Stuart Gray was ejected after he got into it right here with Mark Bryant. Obviously, Stu has been going to a few Indianapolis ice games recently. Skiles with some great passes tonight. That one underneath to John Long. Pacers led by as many as 18. Big Kevin Duckworth, unstoppable. 14 out of 27 from the floor, 32 points. Clyde Drexler led the losers with 35. Fine behind the back feed there to Danny Young. All the Pacers got into it tonight. Watch the ball movement. Skiles to Everett Stevens, back to Skiles, under to Wayman, 129-120. Pacers
we had good efforts off the bench and really played together as a team. We're more like a family tonight, and which really kind of sparked everybody, pumped everybody up, and that's what we need more of.
We're getting better and better. You know, I knew that all along. We've been playing better. We're playing better as a team. There's less friction, and I think there's more togetherness is what we're trying to get across.
All right, George. Other NBA matchups tonight. How often do you see Dominique miss a slam? You just saw it. I don't believe it. The Hawks in Boston at the Garden tonight. Nick had 14. Watch little Spud Webb shake loose underneath. Kind of hard to detect out there at 5'5", just a blip on the radar screen. Doc Rivers fills it up from three-point land. Yes, and it goes. Cliff Levingston makes just a sensational baseline move here to shake away from Robert Parrish. Look at that. Larry Bird, happy birthday to you. It's number 32. Anyway, Atlanta wins tonight, 106-103. Yes, folks. In case you couldn't interpret those lyrics, Bird is 32. Chicago and Detroit at the Palace in Auburn Hills. Isaiah Thomas, unconscious as usual. A 3 baseline right. IT had 25 tonight. Right here, he will push it up and take it down the left-hand side of the lane. Kiss it so gently off the glass, kind of like Minnesota Fats on a billiards table. He had 25. Lambert with the ever so awkward outlet right there. They push it to Joe Dumars. He scores. Adrian Dantley had 14 of his 31 in the fourth quarter. The Pistons destroy the Bulls 102-89, holding Michael Jordan under 20. He had 18 for the first time in almost 1 year. Denver and Philly. Ron Anderson hated to see the Pacers get rid of this guy. Watch this pretty feed inside to Charles Barkley tonight in their game against Denver at the Spectrum. Look at this wraparound pass to Barkley for the jam. Anderson 14, Barkley 29. Michael Adams of Denver hit a three-pointer for the 61st straight game. That continues to expand his NBA record, but Philly blows out the Nuggets 134-109 tonight. Other NBA scores, Sacramento rallied from 11 down with 10 to play to keep Miami winless. In Miami, the Heat are now 0-14. The Heat is now 0-14? Anyway, they're not hot. Dallas beat Seattle by 4. Washington and Utah, what does that look like? It looks Utah in the fourth period. Lakers by 1 over a vastly improved Phoenix Suns team in the second period of play. The marquee matchup in college basketball tonight matched the Commodores of Vanderbilt against the Tar Heels of North Carolina. This one in Chapel Hill. Jeff Lebo here gets the ball from King Rice. Watch NC move the ball around here. He pulls up and nails the three-point shot. Frank Cornett will score on the southpaw slam for the Commodores, but North Carolina, ranked 8th in the country, pulls it out tonight by an even dozen, 89-77 the final. Quickly through the college scores if we have time. Top 20 scores, I guess we don't have time. Anyway, Michigan was a big winner, 108-62, and Nolan Ryan has signed a one-year deal with the Texas Rangers with an option year that could make him $3 million richer. That's the big news out of the baseball meeting.
Maybe a recording contract with your voice, Ed.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
It's time for the circuit for you for the nightclubs. We'll join Reed Duffy in a trip to southern Indiana, a taste of Irish cooking.
$38 to $68 per month is important to you, shop the good people's lower payment store, Blossom Chevrolet, 1800 North Shadeland.
Did you know there's a new cat litter that's better than Fresh Step?
Oh, no. Go on. There is? Something better than Fresh Step?
New Fresh Step with advanced odor control. Freshens every time your cat scratches or steps. Well, is the new Fresh Step controlling odors better than ever?
Why, yes. Of course. Why didn't you tell me about this sooner?
New improved Fresh Step. Freshens with every step.
189 jets of pulsating water. The 3-speed home spa Euro system from Regina. Now only $119.97 at Service Merchandise. No one offers more value at any price. The low light sensitivity of CCD imaging. The full-size, full-featured VHS camcorder from Magnavox, now just $1089.97 at Service Merchandise. No one offers more value at any price.
You're the one they depend on to see it through. In this world it all counts and they're counting on you. Show that world some sign. You've been waiting for this time to come, and you know that time is here. You're living in real time. Seco time, living in real time. Seco time.
Available at Donald E. Nichols Jewelers, Hyatt Regency Lobby.
Duffy's Diner tonight finds Reed Duffy and photographer Dave Garlock heading down to Bloomington to check out the Gaelic delights of the Irish Lion.
The Irish Lion has been holding court on 5th Street in downtown Bloomington since 1982, housed in a building that was constructed a century before, home of many a watering hole through the decades, but with current owners Larry and Hilda McConaughey stressing their bountifully creative menu over their libations amidst a rustic Irish pub decor, dinner prices in the $9 to $12 range. Larry McConaughey does indeed stress his Irish heritage in such quaint Gaelic customs as ale by the yard, the sweet nectar served in high-rise, long-stem glasses called yards, the equivalent of 2 mugs, ideal for those who plan to have another with dinner. Our very gracious waitress, Kathleen McConaughey, a prized daughter of the owners, brought photographer Dave Garlock and me 2 of the Irish Lion's prized appetizers. Outstanding Oysters Rockefeller, the half-shell oyster broiled with fresh sautéed spinach and bacon, topped with hollandaise sauce and sweetly flavored with a surprisingly effective licorice-flavored anisette liqueur. A genuine treat, as was the Crejahan. It's a seafood mixture of cod, shrimp, crab, and other sea urchins applied to fresh soda bread. Very tasty. Irish Lion's menu emphasizes such Irish ditties as lamb, poultry, beef, and seafood, with yours truly taking on the center-cut lamb chops for $11, 3 very generous 6 to 8-ounce chops, nicely broiled, quite lean, reasonably tender, and offering most satisfying lamb flavor. Lamb medallions and leg of lamb are also offered, so definitely an oasis for lamb devotees. Mr. Garlock took on an Irish Lion specialty, roast duckling for $12.85, a massive portion of the half duckling, stuffed with apple fennel bread dressing and glazed in apple schnapps. The apple glazing worked wonderfully with the tender duck. Apple sweet, but not overwhelmingly so. Dave finding the duck tasty and tender, and not quite as greasy as people tend to expect from duck. The dressing also possessed a nice apple flavoring, but Dave found it a tad dry. Overall, the dining duo of Garlock and Duffy found the Irish Lion in downtown Bloomington a most worthy venue for a lusty evening of creative dining. Some judicious fasting beforehand would be a very good idea. It's open for dinner 4 to 10 Monday through Saturday, closed Sundays. As usual, Mr. Garlock plunged off the deep end, sampling Irish Lion's infamous whiskey pie and unconscionable Irish apple walnut cake, while I once again made do with coffee, in honor of my host's Irish coffee, to make sure the wind is always at my back. Reed Duffy, Channel 6 News.
Oh, but I heard Reed sampled and dabbled into the duckling.
Surely it was rumor only.
Maybe not.
I can't believe you'd do that.
No, maybe not.
Nightline's coming up next, and the subject is Mikhail Gorbachev's visit to New York.
We'll see you tomorrow night, everyone. Have a terrific evening.
Good night.